But hey, it's
Oh,
football. Let's talk about game week, right? We got Iowa coming up on Saturday. That's big, big thing.
absolutely, man. I am looking forward to it. I did a show last night, and of course, you don't look at it from this way, but I cover Indiana, and I'm most familiar with Indiana. I'm not as familiar with what Iowa has right now. I mean, to a degree, but they're looking at it from the opposite way, and they're fully expect a good game, but they fully expect to win. And I'm like, I have the complete opposite view. I think it's going to be a good game, but I fully expect Indiana to win. Now, is that biased? Yeah, there's probably a little bias, but it's only because I cover Indiana more. But it's going to be a tough route to get through. And we'll look at the great stat that Iowa has, that they have not allowed more than 25 points in a game for like 2 years in 21 games. So I think that gets broken in Iowa City.
Yeah, that would be something if they were able to do that. But I think that, and certainly Indiana has the offense to do it. With Michael Penix healthy, him obviously, making it through the game and making it through the season. But you've got him, you've got Ty Fryfogle. We'll see what Stephen Carr can bring to the running game. All reports are that he's a pretty dynamic back. But you got to see it happen in game action for sure. But I think that I think there is a possibility. I mean, but Indiana, I think Big Ten road game early in the season, you're going to have to play, an A to B game with your talent level to win. You can't afford a C game or lower. You can't make mistakes. You can't, have a bunch of missed tackles like if you remember 2 years ago against Ball State. I mean, I think the run defense needs to be on par with what it was last year against Penn State in the COVID opener. You got to really contain Goodson and make Petrus beat you.
Oh yeah, there's no start off, and I talked about that. Iowa has lately gotten off to slow starts. It wrecked their season last year, losing the opening 2 games by I think a combined 5 points. So it can really impact, especially you open up with a conference foe. It impacts your season because that counts against your conference record. And it's a top 20 matchup. You're going to have, although not many people are talking about this game, which outside of Indiana and Iowa, not a lot of people talking about this game, which is surprising, but not surprising. It's surprising because this is a quality top 20 matchup in week 1. And it's Indiana. So they're like, it's Indiana. I truly feel that that's how it's looked at by a lot of the outside people. They still don't trust Michael Penix's health. They don't trust Indiana. Yeah. So Indiana really, in my opinion, needs to go down. They don't have to go down there and put 50 points up and do all that. They just need to go down there and win that game. I don't care if it's 14-7. They just need to go beat Iowa at Iowa, and that'll shut the people up. It's like, there's no more of this, no fan stuff and all that stuff. Get that out of the way early. And so that's not one of the mantras that's on your back all season.
Yeah, no, I think that's something that, it's obviously a huge game for momentum purposes. But I think if you go up there and you even lose and it's competitive, you don't want to get blown out. If you lose and it's competitive and then you bounce back and you come back home and you win the next 2 and beat Cincinnati, your season is still okay. You still have a lot in front of you that you can accomplish. But I think that's the main thing. You go up there week 1, you want to play as close to your A game as possible. And if you can do that, I think you've got a good shot of winning up there, because you've got, I think, it's crazy to think about this. Like, you wouldn't think about this 2, 3, 4 years ago, but Indiana's got more talent than Iowa. Iowa does have the one, All-American first team, All-American preseason, the center, Tyler Linderbaum. But, you take a look at Indiana's 2 on defense, and then you take a look at the fact that Indiana returns most of its secondary, which had 17 interceptions. Iowa does too, and they had 11 interceptions. So it'll be a big game for Penix, and it'll be a game too where, and obviously I asked yesterday about, it's one thing to come back from an injury, but how are you going to perform? Are you going to be able to trust the leg? Are you going to be able to make all the throws that you made before the injuries. And all accounts are he's doing that. From what we saw in camp, he looked like he had the same zip on his ball that he did before he left. But, when the live bullets come flying, it's going to be completely different for sure. So I think that that's going to be interesting to see too with Mike, just how can he get into a rhythm? Can he, establish himself and avoid mistakes, obviously, because like Indiana, Iowa's got a little ball hawking tendencies to him on defense in that secondary.
Iowa apparently has the most interceptions in the BCS in the last 3 or 4 seasons, I believe, which that's pretty good for a team that you wouldn't think faces a ton of passing games. Although you do play against Purdue and Minnesota over there in the West. That's a little surprising. A team in the Big Ten West leading the country in interceptions. I would have lost that bet.
Yeah, over the last 4 years, obviously. So they're very similar. Kirk Ferentz, also a veteran coach, stability. If you remember last year and last offseason, in addition to COVID, there was a lot of good morning, by the way, Jesse, but there was a lot of problems in terms of questioning the culture there. The strength and conditioning coach was fired. There were questions as to whether the coaches were being biased and too hard on certain players and players of a certain race. And this year they seem to have gotten over that, and there seems to be a little more unity in that program than there was last year. That's another interesting aspect too. And that might have contributed to their 0-2 start. That and breaking in a first-year quarterback in Spencer Petras, who Kirk Ferentz admitted didn't really have the proper preparation to go into the season. Now he's in the second year, so he's going to be a little more experienced.
We will be doing something for the Idaho game. We'll be doing something for every game. But we'll get that out when we get closer to that. And actually, we're going to have some tickets to give away for the Idaho game. So we'll have all kinds of fun for that. Alan asking about Noah Clowney. We'll get to that when we get to basketball later. What's up? I need a Creek Walker with us as well. Was last night's show recorded on YouTube? I'm not sure what he's talking about.
He's referring to the show you guested on. It wasn't a show hosted by Jim. It was a show that he guested on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know what? I'll have to go look. It's not worth the guy from Iowa didn't. I was ready to get up and get at it. But there was no good stuff. So it wasn't not very fun. Not much, no classic Jim in there. I was ready for it, man. I thought that there would be get some fireworks, but didn't happen. Ross says both teams are good on special teams. You could see that being the difference maker. Hey, man, in a game like that, anything is a difference maker. Ask Scott Frost and Nebraska. And, man, it's so easy to always bring him up. But didn't they fumble a kickoff on the goal line? Was that a kickoff or a punt?
Safety. Yeah, it was a punt. Cam Britt, ended up backpedaling into the end zone. He should have just let it bounce. And then he was in the end zone, and his knee was kind of down. He lost his momentum, and he threw the ball out of the end zone thinking that would be classified as a forward fumble, but it didn't work out, and they gave him the safety on that. So, and David Ellis, questionable going into the game, kick returner. So that's something that but, you do have, DJ Matthews, who's a pretty dynamic guy. I'm sure they can move him and return kicks. And even Stephen Carr, apparently, at USC has experience as a kickoff returner. So, field position will be big.
Tim asked, do you think Indiana will remember Iowa's athletic director, Gary Barta, is the reason for IU not making a pick six? Well, that's not really the reason. The real reason is because they didn't beat Ohio State. So there's that. And no, are you talking about the players? No, I promise you, half or 3/4 of the players do not know who Gary Barta is, and they don't care who Gary Barta is. They're going to Iowa to beat Iowa. They're going to Iowa to win a Big Ten football game. They're going to Iowa to win their opening football game. They're going to Iowa to simply win. That kind of noise and ridiculousness that's for fans. That is for the fans to chirp about. I mean, I talked about it, but no, that will have zero impact on this game on the field as far as the players. Earmuffs and blinders, man. These guys live, breathe, eat, and sleep that. Earmuffs and blinders. I'm telling you, they are focused on the task at hand.
You don't think Tom Allen in the locker room will be like, and this guy didn't believe in us, you know what I mean? And we were a one-loss team, and Iowa State was 2-loss team, and they got in ahead of us in the BCS 6 or whatever,
No, not that he's not capable of using motivational tools. No, I don't think so, because again, that goes back to, well, Indiana should have beaten Ohio State. You can go back all day long with that argument. So no, that's not one that Tom Allen will use. It just doesn't have any relevance to the players, I don't think. But you made it irrelevant in that way. But no, I just don't see any form or fashion of that coming in. Like I said, 3/4 of these players don't know who he is, so they don't care. They just want to beat Iowa. It's a Big Ten. You don't need any more motivation. Hell, you're going on the road in the Big Ten. It's football season. There will be fans in the stands. I don't think you need any more motivation other than simply winning. Winning's winning, man.
Iowa still has those like pink locker rooms, apparently, like, for the visiting. They do that. They do these little mind games and stuff and everything. It's interesting culture over there.